Hi guys, and welcome back to this Model Engineers Workshop. Today in the workshop, Locomotive Brake Arms Part 2. Hi guys, I'm the chef. Today in the workshop, we're going to go further with the brake arms and the brake shaft. As you saw in part 1 of this video, the original brake arms don't fit. So what I've had to do, or rather they did fit, they fitted too well because I used a drill that was obviously not very good. So these are now 13.5mm holes instead of 13mm, which would have been ideal. So they were too sloppy fit. And we're going to see what I did to correct that. I think you've got a rough idea already, haven't you? So, but before I go too much further on this, way back in video 11, I described a homemade rivet press that I'd made. So use on doing these rivets here, just on this side of the screen, on the tender frames first, and I've used it again on the loco frames. Now, since that video, I've had a gentleman called John. He's been in regular contact with me because he decided he wanted to make one for himself. And as I'm talking about it now, hopefully there should be a photograph of his work. He sent me that only a few days ago. He's actually finished his own rivet press. And it looks a really good job. I'll tell you this much, his welding's better than mine, but somewhere along the way we all have to learn. So that picture's there, that is John's rivet press. The only major difference between his and mine is he made his out of 1/4 inch steel plate. Mine was a scrapyard find and it was 3/4 inch plate. So I went for the heavier version thinking it would be the kind of strength it required, and it turns out it isn't. So you can get away with anything from, say, 1/4 upwards. I wouldn't recommend going too much under 1/4 inch, 6mm. I think you might find that the jaws that you create might start to spring. But hey, I'm willing to be proven wrong. But on that point, if anybody is also making one, please send me through a photo. I'd love to see your work. I'd love to see what you're doing, what you're making. And the end result, of course. If it works for me, it should work for you. Right, so I'm going to get set up in the lathe with this one, and we'll do a quick discussion about what I did to fix the problem I created for myself last time. All right, guys, back in a tick. Righto, guys, set up in the lathe. So plan of action is I'm going to re-drill that hole, go up to 14mm. I've made a new shaft like this. There we go. Nice clean piece of steel. Just going to drill 14mm. This is actually 14.1 something. So in the tool post in a second, you'll see I've got a tiny little boring bar, and I'm going to bore it to fit the bar. Okay, so cameras are running, sound looks like it's on, and let's just adjust the speed before I forget. Don't need to be doing that. I need that kind of speed. Make sure the lathe is switched on. There we go. Let's just make sure everything is free. Right, so let's give that a try. As you see, I forgot to tighten the drill chuck up again. It's getting to be a habit. Is that? No, still a little bit tight. Not going to go. So as I say, we're going to run the little boring bar through. I'll just get it in, and yeah, you can see it is a very tiny little boring bar. I've just given that a bit of a lapping on a diamond hone. Hopefully you can see it's got a nice little sharp edge on it. The way the light's reflecting off it, you should be fine. Right, so let's get this going now, and I'll leave it at that. Yeah, right. I'll leave the speed alone and see how we go. It's on 700 RPM at the moment. I'm just going to go in a little bit and then pull the tool out till it makes contact, then withdraw, put on some cut, not much, and then we're going to go through. All right, guys, let's see how this goes. We have touch off. Let's just go through it. This little tiny little cut. Just forward a bit more. Let's just move the saddle out the way. Move it back a little bit more. There we go. Nope, not quite there yet. A little bit more. And just make sure everything's free. That's nice. Start up. Right, we're starting to go. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to wind the tool forward just to make sure we're getting everything straight. This next cut goes through on with the saddle rather than the compound, because the saddle's pretty much guaranteed to go through parallel. As much as I've got the compound set on 0 on the protractor scale, you never know, it might be a 1/10 of a degree off, so it will be actually turning a taper. So let's just take this through at the same settings using the saddle. Right, seem to take something off. So let's just try that. It should be about there by now. Let's have a look. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that's all right. Everything's a bit warm at the moment with cutting, so that'll tighten up, and it's bloody warm in the workshop today. Righto, guys. So that's how you solve it. If you've got a hole that's too big and you just got to go make a new shaft. You'll notice in this shaft I've not cross-drilled the holes. Didn't quite understand why that would be there. There were supposed to be pilot holes for when you cross-drill for a roll pin going through here. So you might as well just put the thing in place, cross-drill it all in one go. Yeah, because you drilled 2.5 mil here, 3 mil there, and then go through again with the 3 mil to put a 3 mil roll pin. So I've not bothered putting the cross holes in. Didn't seem to make much sense. Not to me anyway, maybe to the designer or whoever. But Right, just got the other two to do now. Take some burrs off, and there we go. I have the habit of looking at them without you guys not being in frame. And right, get some burrs taken off, get them onto the shaft, and then we have to look at what kind of orientation we need. And then we can start drilling for grub screws. All right, guys, back in a tick. Okay, now I'm set up in the vise on the mill. I've used my little square just to make sure this is as vertical as I can get it. It doesn't need it, it's only a grub screw. You could put it in at any angle. I'm just going to do them here. I've used the edge finder to do the two sides and centered that on the DRO, so that center drill there is now on the center line of that bush. I've used the edge finder to find this edge, and I've gone in the right amount, which in this case is 5mm. Now, it should be solid enough, but I'm just going to center drill lightly because you can't really drill on a round surface. Center drill to create a dimple, maybe a little bit deeper. Then we're going to go through to the hole with a 4.2, and I'm going to put the tap in the chuck with some cutting paste on it, and we're going to run through with an M5 just so we're ready for the grub screw. All right, here we go, guys. Right, so I've just put the mill into low gear. I've dropped it down to its lowest speed, so it's going to give me about 30 RPM. I think it is 35, something like that. Just put a little bit of the old tapping paste on there, just to make life a little bit easy. Right, so here goes, guys. And of course the drill chuck's not tight enough. There we go. Right, I'm going to have to reverse that out a little bit and try again. Go, Bennett. Right, let's see if I can get a bit more on that. Really doesn't want to go. All right, here we go. Back it out a bit if I can. And forward. There we go. Right. Now I'm going to just hold that in place while I loosen that. Come on. There we go. Right. Now I'm going to drop this down. Take it out, take it off to the bench, and just make sure that's tapped all the way through. Right, I'll get you back when I'm in the vise. Okay, guys, so I just used the hand wrench and tapping wrench on that M5 tap, just to make sure the hole I didn't want to damage the bottom of the hole I've already cleared for the shaft. Just wound it in a couple of times, up and down, just to make sure it's nice and smooth. Put the shaft in, stuck the grub screw in. That's not going anywhere. We now need to get the other two arms drilled for the grub screws so they can then locate. I've just double checked the drawings. I was actually looking at the wrong part of the locomotive, a different shaft on the 5-inch gauge. Unfortunately, the drawings I've got are all mixed up. And actually, the brass bushings go on the, so I've got 2 arms on this side, 1 arm on this end, and the bushings actually go in the middle. So that means, yes, I still need to make the bushings because I need to get these 2 on, slide a bushing on, slide it into the frame, slide the second bushing on from this end, put the 3rd arm on, and then I can mark that so I can see exactly where it's going to come. And then if necessary, I've got about 1 mil sticking out on the end of the shaft here. I can adjust the shaft to get it central on the frames, at least tighten that grub screw down properly, and put a mark on the other end of the shaft so that we can see where number 3 goes. So number 1 is the long one, number 2 and number 3 are both the short ones. And as I say, when this is pointing forward, so at this moment in time forward would be down, this number 2 goes that way, as does number 3, so that when you pull on this one to activate the brakes, 2 and 3 do this, so that it's either on or off, whichever way it is. But we'll see that when we get there. Right, guys, I'm going to put the small ones in the lathe, in the mill, same as I did before, do the centering up and everything, get these 2 grub screws in, M5 grub screws, and I'll just temporarily mount them on the shaft when I've done that, and I'll bring you back and you can have a look-see. Right, so that's all 3 drilled and tapped. Yeah, a little M5, little M5 grub screw here. Come on, focus, there we go. Let's get that onto there. And that goes into the hole. Stay still, don't want to go losing it, it'll disappear on this floor. There we are, we've got some thread in there now. Looks like by the drawings it's going to stick out, the shaft's got to stick out about 1 mil, so I'll just very roughly put that in there just to show you. Right. Line that up now, give it a bit of a tweak. These will line up, there we go. These will line up properly once we get it all set up in the mill for cross drilling. So you can see that these 2 will go on first, and we'll cross drill here and here. So the roll pins, get the roll pins in, at least one of them, probably this one, take this one off for the temporarily while we're doing, and then set this up using this as a guide to make sure that this is at 90 degrees. Right, so at this moment in time, I think that one's pretty much in place. This one, of course, is dependent on this, and then the 2 little bronze bearings that need to be made. I need to make brass bearings, not bronze. That's probably going to be in the next video. I don't know, I'll see. I've just got to clean the lathe down, get all that turning off, all the turnings off from doing the steel, and get the bearings made, set up in the frames, mark a few things up just so we know where everything's in the right place. Dismantle it. I'll have marks on the shafts to give me an idea of where things line up, and then we can start cross drilling. And once everything's fitted properly, then we've just got to shape up, put these on the belt linisher down, grind them down till they match the bush there, the bushing. Take the end down, machine off. Probably even, I might machine this edge off, or I might just do it on the belt linisher. It's quite a lot of material to remove, actually. Yeah, maybe not too bad. I might try one on the belt linisher, see how we go. But at this moment in time, if you're driving the locomotive, this is underneath you, basically, underneath the cab. You can see that this shaft here will be operated by the brake handle. It's only the parking brake, really. And of course, because this is 80 and these are only 40, you're going to get a 2-to-1 advantage on pulling power or releasing power, whichever way you're going. It's probably pushing power, pulling that, who knows. And that will then be the parking brake for the locomotive. So 2 bushings to go, 3 holes, 3 lots of shaping. As I said, this is probably going to go into a 3rd video. Yeah, and that's okay. I'll get the lathe cleaned down. It's almost lunchtime. I'm going to go have a bite of lunch with the missus. It's a public holiday here in South Australia, and as I said, it's red hot whether I get out here today or tomorrow afternoon, because it's supposed to be a bit cooler tomorrow. I don't know, but see how we go. All right, guys, I'll bring you back. Yeah, I'll bring you back when I get to the next job.